That's correct, my lord. No. I can't sit and testify. My lord, before Mr. Combrook continues, maybe just before we start, I just need to know from the court and the state and the defense, obviously, I have to be in Grahamstown next week for another High Court matter. I am leaving, supposed to leave on Monday afternoon to be there on Tuesday. I need to know today still whether I should cancel and make arrangements with Advocate Malherbe Marie to remand that case, that trial, because obviously arrangements would have been made there as well. And before money is spent on a flight ticket.
You finish by lunchtime tomorrow? Yes, sir. 1 o'clock tomorrow.
Thank you, my lord.
Right. Please go back for a moment to this exhibit AAA1. This was the one that we dealt with the sort of a general set.
My lord, just like, no, this is the one that I've made available this morning.
No. It's the one that we went through, all the documentation.
Is this the one?
This sample set.
This one?
Yes. Let's go back to 13, page 13, please. You remember those, what we referred to as stutter?
Yes.
That is the ones that, although we said that they are appear to be higher than 50, they are in a stutter position. So that's, and you wouldn't call
higher
that.
than?
Sorry.
I beg your pardon, just repeat yourself.
No, as I understood you, those ones that are, for instance, next to that peak, let's say 16 at the top.
Yes.
Right, it's called a 16. One to its left, that is a stutter.
That's correct.
And the one that's, if we take the next one, and each of them there appears to be a little peak to the left. Those are all stutter.
Yeah, that's correct, my lord.
Right. Would this stutter ever be on the other side?
Yes, it could happen.
Is that rare or regular?
It's not as common, but we can still we can actually find, my lord, what we refer to as a shoulder stutter.
Oh, what's that?
A shoulder.
So it's a forward stutter.
So it's basically just on the other side of the peak, but that's not as common.
So typically it would be to the left.
Yeah, my lord.
Immediately to the left.
Four base pairs.
4 base pairs to
Four
the left.
base pairs.
Right. Then there's a matter of, do you have your affidavit before you, the first one, ZZ1? You can go to page 4 of 9. And look at one that says swab touch DNA on axe on stairs, PA4 0021225827. See that?
Yeah, 5827. That's correct, my lord.
Yes. And you told us what the results were there. I just want to ask, the one where you, below the D18551, there's a position there indicated as 14. A number, I think it was
14,
14.
15, 16.
Yes, for your, that.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Oh, that's the raw data say.
Sorry?
No, I'm just checking the raw data. 15, 16, 18. Yes, my lord. Yeah, I notice now that if you go to page 9 of exhibit ZZ5, you'll see that that is a typing error or a spelling error.
or whatever, not a genotyping error. But it should be 15, 16, 18. But it doesn't change my interpretation.
No. It's actually, I was going to put to you that we thought as much as that it is a typing error. So it's only be that we know that we're not going to have to deal with that aspect.
Yeah, now I should have picked it up during my evidence issues. Sorry for that, Mom.
Sorry, where is that on?
My Lord, if we deal with my affidavit, namely double Z1, and if we go to page 4 of 9, the table, and if we look at the result swab, touch DNA on axon stage. And if we go down that line to, or row, to where in the top there will be
D18 S51. You'll see that I have
typed in there, it's only me, 15, 16, 14, and that 14 should be 18. Because according to the raw data, it's 18. So you can just change it to 18, but as I said, it has no effect on my interpretation.
it just unfortunately just missed.
Yeah, so a reporting officer, that's what you are, right?
That's correct.
What type of training and competency do you have there?
Sorry. My Lord, we have received all the in-service training from basic, from evidence recovery, straight through all the processes.
QPCR, PCR?
QPCR, everything. But because I've been a reporting officer for so long, for the last maybe 10 or more years, as a reporting officer, I only have to be proficient in writing. That will include status RO, writing RO, and also I'm a reviewer and a review. So we are no longer proficient in the process because we don't work in the process.
So that ties a bit in what you said earlier as far as PCR is concerned. You don't have to be proficient in that.
Yes.
You are not.
Yeah, because I don't work there, I don't need to be proficient.
So your competency, how is that verified?
My competency, my proficiency. The competency had been done years ago, so that is now. The training had been done, mentorship had been done, all of those things had been done. So I had been declared competent many years ago. But what happens is I have to stay proficient. So according to our quality guidelines, my Lord, I need to do at least one proficiency test a year. That proficiency test could be either an internal, a national one, or it could be an external or international one. We do far more than one, but that is the minimum requirement. And obviously for my proficiency is exactly what I will do in a normal case. I will receive a case file, I will have to work through the case file, I will have to see that it had been submitted correctly, that the barcodes are correctly, everything matches, and I must make an interpretation
of a test?
Of the test that had been done.
So they present you with a test?
Yes, remember that proficiency test go the exact same route as any other case would work, because I am not the only one being tested. All the analysts dealing with that proficiency test will be tested, and our whole system is tested thereby.
That's why you said you were the end user, you were sort of at the end of that. That's why you would be part of that.
I will be, as a writing RO, I will be basically at the end, and then after me there will also still be a reviewer to review my work. So we will be at the end of the long queue.
We've been presented with, as part of the documents that we requested, the documents I'll hand up to you now. So copies of what I believe is the certificate of this one of the documents that you're referring to? Or?
Yes. My Lord, this was just basically to indicate that I finished my training. I've received this in 1997, so you can actually...
This certificate will be 1997. That was when I did this training and when I received and completed this training.
This one is, but on this document itself, it doesn't indicate a date, does it?
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't, but it would be on my training records. I've completed several other trainings before this, but this was the one I received in 1997.
You said earlier when you testified that you do follow ISO 17225.
Yes.
If I can, there will be some reference to this as well, some sort of legal land that in as well. It's the National Standard Guide ISO IEC 7025. That will be AAA3.
I have no objection, Lord, as long as the witness has an opportunity to look at it and identify it as a document which is an.
So this would be, although it says certificate of completion, this is actually basically a certificate of competency.
This would have been, yes.
Let me take you to, have you looked at that ISO? Is that happy that that's
My Lord, this is the standards, and like I've said previously, our quality management system is based on the clauses mentioned in this standard. So yes, I do recognize it.
And you would follow this?
I would follow my quality management system.
Incorporate.
If
you can look at paragraph 5.2.5. That's on page 12. Is that this, the laboratory shall maintain records of relevant authorization, competence, educational, professional qualifications, training skills, and experience of all technical personnel, including contracted personnel. This information shall be readily available and shall include the date on which the authorization and or competence is confirmed.
yes.
That should be so.
Yes, that's correct, my Lord.
But on this one, obviously, we can't see what the date is.
No, because to tell you the truth, I think back in 1997, I don't even know whether ISO 17025 existed.
The date of this is 2005.
So we can't backdate it anything.
Sorry,
Uh,
date of the document is ISO 2005.
Yes.
Yes, my Lord, what I'm trying to say is I received and completed my training with flying colours in 1997. This ISO document also only came into play much later. So obviously, back in the day, we had to conform to standards then. I can't go now. The training and development facilitation, now can't go and backdate something. So we have to accept the best possible record of training we have, and unfortunately, if this is the best possible training record I have, except my physical answer paper that I wrote, then we have to go with that.
I have been declared competent back then, and I'm still proficient.
All right, now, moving on to matters that are more important, we can look at by state or by your lab request.
So there will be AA4, triple A4. Is there any objection?
No objection, Lord.
Right, if we look at this document, is this that's basically what we call a CTS, right? The collaborative testing service.
That's correct, my lord. It seems like it. Yes.
And then it says participant code U62988H, that refers to you basically, is it? That H.
Just repeat that again, my lord.
That participant code U62988H. If I can maybe hand you at this stage another document, which will be AAA 5. Sorry, I should have done this for you already, to make it easier. This is the so have a look at that document and identify.
No objection, Lord.
That document, just identify
Yes.
for us.
Yes, the CTS test 14586. I don't know whether this is the same thing because the participant code is U and I don't see the same one on here.
Well, it looks, if you look at, for instance, just a look at the test wording. The
I will
member
have to
successfully
see.
completed a proficiency test CTS kit 14
No,
dash
this is not the same.
586, and that's the same number test 14586.
Obviously, my lord, if I look at it quickly, it seems as if it is a CTS that has been done by our laboratory and I was one of the participants.
Yes, that's what. Well, that's what I'm referring to. Is the H there appears to be.
H is not correct.
It's not.
It's,
But you were part of this test.
well, apparently.
Yes. And this is based on that this was said in the document AAA5, which is issued by the forensic laboratory itself. Name of the kernel is Otto, personal number, your personal number, I assume. The member has successfully completed a proficiency test. It refers then to this test, apparently.
Yes.
And in accordance with the quality management system of the biology unit and is duly authorized to work independently in the following areas, reporting officer. So it appears as if this document by the FSL is based on the test that's attached.
That's attached. It's I.
For A4. Right. Is it also right that the participant, which is indicated, and if I look back now again at AAA4, is that it indicates in the block what you found in respect of those two test items, item 3 and item 4.
I have no idea whether I'm included in all the participants because I don't have the whole test with me. This is an extract. But if
So,
I have been found successful,
This was
I
presented to us by yourself.
yes, then I would obviously, yeah, you see, because this is now where the problem comes in. It's now, when we deal with the CTS proficiency, we have a case file, and just like the one we have in court. And I can work through all the samples, look at the results.
Okay.
So this, I will have to go with to say that allegedly and apparently, I was one of the participants if we have to go with this document because this is all we have. So yes, let's go with that.
Yes.
Then
Yes, now, well, I mean, this is document we asked in this line to be provided with the source documents. This was provided in respect to this one, so this
Yeah,
is
okay.
seen.
No, that's fine.
So it appears here that the participant, that's yourselves, found in respect of item 3, no. That was the test item 3. I'll take you now through the test items. Is that correct? And in terms of the document that you have in front of you.
My lord, it's extremely difficult because an interpretation needs to be done. The the proficiency part consists out of two things. Firstly, we as a laboratory must get the same profile, so I suggest we look at the profiles. Let's see, yes, no, let's do it that way, because that's the way it should be done. We look at the profiles obtained, then we go to the interpretation, and then I will tell the court whether I was one of those participants, because I could have been one of the three that said something different. I wouldn't know, because I would still pass the proficiency.
You're the reporting officer. You're the person that oversees what was done.
Yes, no.
And then the finding here is the one that you okay.
My Lord, could I maybe have a minute just to work through the results?
Is it
To get to the interpretation before I answer.
certainly, ma'am?
Absolutely.
Probably sit down.
Okay, my Lord, the scenario for the CTS would have been as follows.
We would have received 4 samples. I suspect that the scenario would have been a sexual assault related case. Then usually item 1 would be the reference sample of the victim. Item 2 would be the reference sample of the suspect. in this instance, item 3 contained, we don't know this beforehand, but apparently item 3 contained a mixture containing blood from the one female donor and semen from another male donor.
So that's the answer.
And fourth, no, I'm reading the scenario.
So just give me a chance to complete my...
Sorry?
Thank you, my lord. And then item 4 will obviously then be a mixture of blood. This is what I have explained on Tuesday. This is where evidential value comes in. You might get the lab analyst who submits everything without thinking. And you will get the lab analyst who actually deals with evidential value. Now, in a sexual assault matter, if we have a bloody stain on a piece of clothing from a complainant, we are not going to win anything by confirming that it's her blood on her own piece of clothing. What's going to be important to us is the fact we are looking for semen, because that will place the assault, the perpetrator, the person who might have assaulted her, there. Okay? The fourth item is a mixture. A mixture was obtained. So this is exactly what happened.
It was submitted in that way, applying evidential value like we would have in application according to our SOPs, according to casework. So we would have had the profile of the victim, the profile of the suspect, a semen profile of a male person on item 3, and a mixture of DNA on item 4. And this is why we passed the proficiency, because this was done according to our casework.
Wait a minute. The answer of your lab was wrong, right?
No.
In respect of number 4.
No.
After 3.
No, why should it be wrong? Because it's exact same as what the test they
No,
telling.
the participant indicated in respect of item 3, and then you have to look at what the question was. Based on results obtained from DNA analysis, could victim, that's now the female, and the suspect, the male, be a contributor to the question stains, items 3 and 4. And in respect of item 3, there was a stain, a semen stain, and a blood stain. So one of the male, one of the female.
There's one mixture stain. There's one stain.
One stain?
There's
but
one
it had
stain and it contained blood and semen. Now, and this is where our SOPs comes in.
Stop a minute.
No, my lord, irrespective of what the CT is, different laboratories have different approaches. Our approach is based on evidential value. So if I, in all my cases that I do, will target semen in a sexual assault case rather than blood on the female's own clothing, then it's according to our procedure. So this is what we did. And this is why we got the male person, and this is why we excluded the victim, because we didn't actually analyze her blood to be able to include it, which is not wrong. We didn't get a different female DNA. We didn't get a profile different from the profile obtained by CTS. This is why we pass. The way we interpret it is based on the way we deal with casework. But I can tell the court that since last year, we are now doing it as fools, submitting everything in a proficiency test. Because it plays
No role in normal casework to place the victim's own DNA on her clothing, but we are currently doing it differently.
Okay. Let me put it to you this way. If we look at this, there were, of these participants, 129 labs found both the profiles in that stain. 3 labs found only the male. You were one of the 3 labs.
yes. And I'll tell you the other one will be Pretoria National Laboratory, because we work
Put
according
it
to the
differently
same
again,
SOP.
if you need to, we'll unpack the question that they asked you to answer again. Answer is, in respect to the question, the way that they asked it, you were wrong.
Did you see the way it was put? I would tell, I've
Well, we
already...
can analyze what it says.
No,
I'll
this
read
is
it
not
to
the,
you.
this is not the question. This is what we know afterwards, nee?
No, not that part. The part says, based on the results obtained from DNA analysis, could the victim, item 1, and or the suspect, item 2, which are the reference samples that you refer to, be a contributor in any form, blood, semen, doesn't matter. A contributor, wait a minute, let me finish now. To the question stains, items 3 and 4. That is, so as an objective test, that's a simple question that needs answering. It's not differentiating about what the policeman told you or where you got any other information to supplement your interpretation. So this is the only thing that's asked. Your answer was that profile is not there.
Because we only obtained a male DNA profile.
Which is wrong.
Because we worked according to our SOPs.
But which was wrong.
No?
The stain
So
had
we're not,
no
so my lord, I'm just asking,
Are we not supposed to work? And this is where the problem comes in. Our SOPs clearly state, you can go and check now, that we have to work according to SOPs, we have to work according to evidential value.
so if you have a matter of a sexual assault, which is completely different from this case, but if we have a matter of sexual assault, the most evidential value lies in the presence of semen. That's it.
But you
So-
assumed certain things. You assumed certain things
My
about
lord,
this
may I
person.
please just finish my answer? Thank you. In this instance, the scenario was, it was probably seen the girl is raped.
And she bled and there was maybe blood on the suspect's clothing, whatever the case might be, just to make up the arrangement. We have,
In all our proficiency testing, up till October 2016, we have dealt with proficiencies in this way. It's not wrong. The interpretation of a proficiency does not make it right or wrong. The important part is, do we obtain the same alleles? We are testing the system.
Now, just again,
Yes, I agree with you.
you
I
were,
might have been saying that the victim was not there, but it doesn't make me wrong. CTS won't fail me because of that. Because we work according to our DNA casework SOP. And this is why I've said to the court, because we've picked up on these mixtures that we get something different, we have now, from October 2016, have now started to, when there is one stain, and it's apparently or allegedly a mixture of blood and semen, we will make one cutting for a blood extraction and we will take one cutting for
that
a
seems to
semen
me
extraction.
logical what you should have done from the first place.
No,
Given this question.
no, my lord, because if we are bound by SOPs, all these SOPs that we have with us, then we have to follow them, otherwise it doesn't mean a thing.
All right, let me put it to you this way. What should this answer have been?
What it could have gone
To this
either
question
way.
that they asked.
It could have gone either way. If you have submitted that mixture stain,
remember, CTS is not about the interpretation. I've said it again. CTS is about getting the same alleles.
it could have gone either way. If you have submitted as a QA1, then you would have been correct. If you've submitted is only as blood, you might have been lucky to pick up a mixture where you could link both. If you have submitted as both blood and semen, none of those people, if they had picked up the same alleles as on the CTS, it would have been
Well,
advanced.
that's all very interesting. But let's say I had a real case, and I came to you at 2 reference samples, and I brought you 2 stains. On that day, you would not have found the victim in that stain. That's correct.
I must admit, my lord, me neither, so maybe just repeat
And work
that
with
again.
it. If I came to you with that question, brought you 2 stains that day, I'm an investigating officer. I've got 2 stains. The one is a mixture of semen and blood. You would have come back, and I asked you, I would have asked you the same question that they asked. Can you find any of these 2 therein?
What?
That day, you would have told me, you know what, there is not a woman in this sample.
Well, it depends on the charge.
If that case had been a sexual assault, we would not have bothered with the blood. We would have focused on the semen.
I'll tell you what.
If it had been a normal assault, if there was a history in the covering minute that maybe there was a stabbing with a knife or carpet or what have you, then we would expect to find blood there. Then we would have opted for blood. So we can never ever look at something out of context.
Well, the problem is the question had its own context. This didn't come with the police minute. This question asked a very simple question. And to answer that simple question, you had to do everything to find out what was in that stain. And you only found that it was a male. I'll tell you, I'll put it to you. This test you failed.
My Lord, I must just say that I don't know, obviously you haven't seen many CTS, but they all look the same. That part of the victim, that sentence there appears in all of them. Whether you can expect a mixture result or not. But my Lord, as I say, because we worked according to our DNA casework SOPs.
Aren't the SOPs wrong then?
That's not for me to say.
Well, I can tell you in this case they would have been wrong.
Please
if
stay
they
to
applied
our
that.
quality management system, my Lord. I cannot change the ER SOP.
Maybe we'd have to ask someone else. If you were saying that you were on world standard, what we have here is that 129 labs found what they should have found. 3 labs did not find what they should have found. Then there's something wrong.
My Lord, this is the same over and over again. We've passed and I'm going to say it once again, because we follow our DNA casework. CTS will clearly state, this is a scenario, please do as you would do in your laboratory. You will get certain laboratories only testing maybe samples for DNA database purposes. They won't even do an interpretation. The test is not the interpretation. The test is, are you able to find the same profile? And yes, we were able to find the same profiles.
See, this document was then, as I understand you, issued by yourselves based on this other document. 888-5 was based on 888-4. So you issued for yourself this document in respect of that test. 888-5 was issued as a result of 888-4.
My Lord, our quality of this is in control of proficiencies. They decide on pass or fail. But as I say, and I'm going to say it again, we cannot deviate from SOPs in proficiency. It's worse. It has been put to me that we do not follow SOPs. But now if we do follow SOPs, it's also wrong. So no, my Lord. We have to apply casework SOPs to CTS. If not, and this is what has happened, if not, then the SOP needs to change so that we can follow the SOP to get to a result. And this is what has happened. Since October 2016, the SOP had been adapted to allow us in a CTS proficiency. Should you have one stain containing both blood and semen, to make 2 cuttings and they go different routes. But unfortunately, that only happened last year. So for the interim, for everything before that, we passed our proficiencies because we followed the SOPs that were available to us at the time.
So if the SOPs were followed this time, as they are now, we would have passed this test, you say?
I passed then and I pass now.
I'll put it to you, there's no way in the world that you can say that it was passed. So we'll move on. We'll leave that document.
My Lord, we've got a certificate in front of us, and like I've explained to the court why we did what we did and how it's looked at.
It's not about the interpretation. Even if I'm the only one in the world making a certain interpretation, but I do it according to my procedures, then I pass.
That's
So I
absolutely,
passed.
utterly nonsense.
My Lord, I will not accept that. I'm very honest.
I think you should use more.
I will not accept that.
With the greatest respect,
No,
this
I will
document
not
tells you
accept
what
it.
the answer is and what the question
Yes,
is.
but you can argue that later.
All right. Okay.
You can't tell a witness is speaking nonsense.
I will.
I will not really, I will not accept it, my Lord.
Sorry, please don't be offended.
Yes.
It's offensive language.
Yes.
All right. Moving on. All right. I just want to take you to, apparently you've now placed again, on the other hand, a lot of value on the SOPs. We can look at, you have got the SOP bundle that we handed up yesterday, which was AAA. It's the original AAA bundle. It's that big file we handed up on Tuesday.
What nobody has read.
No. Well, definitely not Muslim Day. Right, and if you look at, this would be page 177. Say paragraph 7, principle. That is now, it says page 177 of 413, my lord.
Yes,
Yeah. Okay. It would say there, it says a principle, that's the paragraph starts. The mission of the FSL requires that exhibits be examined optimally due to the high cost and, this is the part that I stress more, the impact of our analysis on people's lives. It is of utmost importance that procedurally correct examinations are performed at all times. In order for this to be successful, a uniform system of procedures for administration of casework, samples for STR analysis, as well as interpretation of DNA results is provided. That is quite strongly worded, you know, to be. And would you not agree that that relates to procedural aspects and the processes of analysis?
Yes, my Lord, clearly.
Seems to me also that's the mission statement of the forensic science.
It's basically that.
And obviously that is to make sure that we have uniform results and that they are reliable.
That's correct, my Lord.
And that we can keep a proper chain of custody of all documentation, etc.
Yes, my Lord.
And that as a,
Isn't this more what they aspire to?
my lord, this is, I was saying,
being examined optimally.
Lord, this
It's a
will be,
real mission statement that organizations have.
and this is repeated throughout. Yeah, we'll get you.
I am not read the list.
No. I can safely assume, Lord, I have not read it like a book.
Proceed.
It's not repeated throughout, my Lord. It's only in certain casework related SOPs. So it's not in all the SOPs.
When last have I looked at this?
Me? Yesterday?
Not today.
But as I say, like I've mentioned earlier before, my Lord, obviously the SOPs that guide casework, that's close, it's next to me. But those that I do not deal with on a regular basis, like the GMAP or IDX, and those I do not look at them that much.
But is this a document that's 400 pages long? Choose page 177 and ask you to comment, isn't that unfair to us? Or are you totally familiar with
My Lord, it's fine because it contains 33 separate SOPs. Some of them the same SOP but different versions. So it's fine. It's like you say, it's a mission statement. It's a principle. It's fine because according to us, in my small opinion, this is fine because this is why we do what we do.
Are you comfortable dealing with this when you just sporadically pick up a page and ask you?
This doesn't need to be placed in context, my Lord. Should there be something that I need to place in context, I will ask for it.
All right. I can move to the same bundle. Page 366. We're dealing now with the relevant SOP at page 360. Are you there?
I am at page 366, my Lord.
And now we look at that paragraph 9.3. Following is the summary of steps to be followed. Open the case file, designate an alphanumeric number. That's like 92, for instance, and that's the one we refer to as KS 1, 2, 3, 4. Am I right?
That's correct.
In the case file next to the entry of the example, which needs to be submitted for analysis, place the date and initial of the analyst next to sample. Remove the sample. And then, in respect of non-conformance of this, if this SOP is not followed, this is now paragraph 11. Non-conformance must be issued. And you say that you would have a record of that if there was something like that. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then, in respect of a non-conformance of any deviation from this procedure, non-conformance will be registered and investigated. Investigated, I'm assuming, is that part when you say that at the end of the whole process, if there had been non-conformances, it would be investigated and then clarified before the affidavit.
That's correct.
Right, now I'm going to refer you to a document that I wish to hand up, which is going to mark AAA 6.
My Lord, just for interest's sake, while that is handed up,
I just want to refer the court to paragraph 9.1.1 on page 365. In paragraph 9.1.1, upon receiving the case, it will be the responsibility of the evidence recovery analyst or submission analyst or reporting officer to read through the covering minutes of the case and to evaluate the evidential value of the exhibits. This is what we've been talking about the whole time. That's also in all our SOPs, evidential value, to come back to the same
Just going back to the other issue.
I know, I'm just bringing it to the court's attention. Remember, when I brought up this issue the day before yesterday, we said, but who are we to determine evidential value? Once again, it's part of our SOPs.
When you say I'm going to leave that for argument, in fact, don't worry, I'm not going to take it further. We'll deal with that in the end.
This document contains one pages.
Yes.
Are you only referred to 2 or 3 pages most time?
No.
You come back.
No, I will get back to it. But the reason why it's actually presented in that way is, you actually just did. She referred me to another to give an answer of her context. I don't want to...
Same SOP.
No, what concerns me is not what you're saying, is that the record of this matter is becoming voluminous.
Well, my Lord, what we could do is we could always, if it's necessary, we could redact it at some stage. But, because it will always be your play.
You've tutted the record of this document, which may, I'm not in a position to decide it's relevant, you are.
My Lord, you will be if when we done it. she's just done. She's referred to another SOP. So if she wants to give context to something there is a document which she knows, then she can refer to it.
No,
I think
my Lord, if I may.
if there's a redaction necessary at some stage, then we can look at that. But at this stage, it would not be fair.
I think it's AAA.
My Lord, why I actually gave that intervention, I was asked by the court specifically whether I'm comfortable in only looking at certain parts of a certain SOP, on which I answered, I will ask to have something placed into context. And this is exactly now what happened is you jumped to page 366, and I refer the court just back to 365, just to place it into context.
Yes, I'm making the same point as you. Yes.
So I'm just saying.
Well, for once on an agreement. Right, now if you look at this handout, AAA 6. Look at this where it says there were 5 KSs on that first page. It says one swab, nail scrape in his left hand. You believe me that there's no initial there. It should have been initial. In terms of this SOP.
Why?
Because the SOP says it.
But there it is.
Where?
That is the outside sticker of the swab guard container containing the nail scrapings of the left hand. The contents of that swab guard container had been removed, placed into an envelope. And next to the envelope there's a barcode, KS and a date.
This is what I'm asking, where's the signature?
There. Because this is just the outside of the kits. There's nothing. This is just the outside. This is just, my Lord, the swab guard. The swab guard. Yes, yeah. That top one is just the swab guard number. There's the sticker, the seal. There, it's the outside of the swab guard container, which has obviously been marked L brackets hand. There you can say, now unfortunately there's now something sticky paper over it, but it should have been nail scrapings left hand. But the exhibit is in the envelope. And right next to the envelope we've got the barcode for the sample, we've got KS, 5 KS, and we've got a date.
Yes,
the mixture I have written there at the time of my interpretation, so that is my own hand.
Yeah. Let's just look again at the SOP. It says designate an alphanumeric number. That we have. That's the 5 KS. The file next to the entry of the sample needs to be submitted for notice. Place the date and initial of the analyst next
to the entry of the sample. The sample. That sample that will go into the DNA process and will be analyzed. And that's not the outside where the seal is. That's the inside.
Are you saying it's not on that document?
My Lord, we have done exactly as the SOP stated. This is the sample. The sample that had to be analyzed was placed into this envelope. This is just the outside to show the chain of evidence. That there is a seal number, that there is a specific swab guard number, which looks like a little barcode, and where the sample had been taken from. But the contents, the important part, is inside that envelope.
But my question is there not supposed to be a signature here as the SOP said? Where is the signature?
But where? There it is, 5KS.
No,
there is the barcode.
No, 5KS is the numeric number. You've confirmed that a couple of times.
But
that's not the signature.
KS is Kagishu Sebulai, is our submission analyst.
That is what the alphanumeric number is. I've asked you earlier. Is that the alphanumeric number? You said yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a 5. And a K and a S.
5K is alphanumeric. Yes. That is what it is.
Yes.
That's not a signature.
But what is KS then? KS is the initials. It's the person's initials on our laboratory system. IMSO.
So what you're saying is this is the signature.
That is the signature
according to our StarLab system. I am SO.
Well, we need to move on, but I can tell you that on the interpretation of what that SOP says, that looks like the alphanumeric number, and you've answered that earlier, that is that what it is.
But that is a 5. An alphanumeric number is a 5. It's between 1 and 10 and different versions of that. That's alphanumeric. It's not a Roman number, it's an alphanumeric one.
Right, now, in any event, what I'll tell you then is, because clearly, in respect of all these ones, your answer is that KS is the
KS will be the initials. The alphanumeric number, for example, for exhibit 117 is 14. 14, exhibit 14 KS. That's the barcode and that's the date. And it will be exactly the same for all of Warrant Officer Sebulai's submissions for all 216 samples submitted.
So, but what you are saying then is that the alpha 5K that is the alphanumeric number?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying
That's what you said
5.
earlier.
I say 5 is a number. You can't say K is a number.
What is the American equivalent?
No, alphanumeric. I asked her earlier, where's the alphanumeric number? And she said that the KS, in one of the previous instances when I took you through the general documentation, she confirmed that the 5KS or the 1KS or the 2KS is the alphanumeric number.
Okay.
Now, she's saying that the 5 is a numeric number, but that the KS is the signature. But that is not, the SOP distinguishes between providing a alphanumeric number and a signature.
My lord, I'm not.
Alphanumeric number is the 5.
So an alphanumeric is 5S, 5B, alpha numeric.
No, you don't understand maths, Lord.
And you don't understand
My
that?
lord, no, my lord, alphanumeric is numbers.
No, numeric is numbers.
And it's from 1 to
No,
start
numeric
with
is
0.
numbers. I know you're a scientist, but in
But
language,
then,
if you refer to alphanumeric, you're not referring to 1 and 2. You're referring to A1 and A2.
but maybe, if I can explain it to you
This way, if we had maybe duplicates, it would have been 1A and 1B. But in this instance, alphanumeric. But in this instance, there's only 1. So it's 1. It's not necessary for A or B. But KS is the initials, the signature of the
But
person
let's
who
understand
got
you, are you saying that simply placing a number 5 doesn't imply it in alphanumeric? No, it's not.
If you're saying alphanumeric, if you're saying numeric, place a numeric number, you would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're saying alphanumeric, it's A1, A2, A3, B1, B, whatever. Like we're doing, our exhibits are run alphanumeric.
I don't know how that
Anyway, right, so
I went to a school apartment here that didn't teach us sophisticated maths.
But my lord, once again, as I've explained, this is the way it's done, and this is the way which is acceptable to us according to our SOPs. If they must remove the alpha, I will tell them to.
all right. Now, I'm just going to put to you that in respect of the following exhibits, because those were just representative, but in respect of those, and you can go check if you want at some stage, because you have your case file with you. I don't know if you have it here, but you have it
No, my
somewhere.
lord, there are 9 files.
Right,
So
just
I
take
don't-
these numbers, please. Page 46, page 90, page 124, page 135.
Oh, which document is
This is in the case file, our own case file.
that? Oh, okay.
My lord, on this point, is Warrant Officer Nell's case file. My case file, the one that I dealt with, is the one containing the status reports, the EPGs, the statistics. Any questions regarding those case files that had been compiled by Warrant Officer Nell, all the notes had been made by her. The only thing that I used those case files for was to refer back to the back number and the way the exhibit had been marked. So it's
Maybe it will address Mr. Combrum's problem that Warrant Officer now has been, the court has decided that she must come and testify. She is coming to testify the week of the 21st of August, and she will be bringing all the case files along.
So all the case files.
Maybe that would address these issues.
Thank you. Right, moving on to contradictions. Yes. You can take us to the essay for the page. Bio, as you call it, 0017P, as a bundle, page 54. The essay for Be there.
54, yes.
If we read from there, it says that the PCR process or the de-amplification using the amplification profile plus PCR amplification kit, volume of sample extract required for an input DNA concentration of
Sorry, which paragraph are we?
paragraph 7.3.
7.
At page
7.3.
54.
Okay, okay. At the top.
Yes, the top. Do you want to read that quickly first?
From the qPCR results, the volume of sample extract required for an input of DNA concentration of 1 to 2.5 nanogram per microliter is calculated by the StarLab software.
So that is that the concentration that you use?
No, it's calculated accordingly. But that is the amount of DNA that must go into the master mix for a PCR reaction.
Right, if you look
So
at the
it
next paragraph.
depending on your concentration found at qPCR, a value will be calculated so that the amount of DNA going into your PCR reaction is somewhere between 1 to 2.5 nanogram per microliter.
If you look at 7.4 on that same page, there was de-amplification using the Amster profile plus PCR amplification kit. The amount of DNA to be amplified should be between 1 and 2.5 nanograms unless the sample is highly grade. Is that right?
Yes, it's written there, yes, ma'am.
But I don't understand why this is, because it's the same.
I just want to understand this. Now, why is it in the one instance referred to as the concentration and the other referred to as an amount?
My lord, maybe it's because the one is nanograms per microliters and the other one is nanogram.
Which is calculated for a 20 microliter master mix. It's the same thing. The
Concentration is nanogram per microliter. The amount is so many nanograms.
So if you are you saying that 1 to 2.5 nanograms per milliliter would translate into the concentration that we just read out earlier?
My lord, as I say, this is technical, but this is the amount of DNA that must go into a mixture. So yes, so the StarLab calculates this. Sometimes it's 2.5, sometimes it's less. That is the range of DNA. So in your DNA concentration, obviously going into PCR, it will be in that range. If not, you're going to get either over-amplification or you are not going to get anything. And now you must remember, we've got the StarLab program calculator. So this is the SOP. That is the amount of DNA indicated. Concentration of DNA per microliter, amount indicated in the paragraph below. The person physically doing the PCR setup has got a batch list. And on that batch list, StarLab has already told him, but you must add a certain volume. And that volume, whether it's 5 microliters, 2 microliters, or 1.5 microliters, already have this amount of DNA calculated.
So but the amount of DNA that needs to go in, then I understand, to be between 1 to 2.5.
Maximum 2.5.
And that is what you referred to earlier, is what is validated by your lab as well, that it's done, that your lab deals with that
Yes.
range.
Yes, because we have to do a certain range and see where is our amplification optimal and where are we losing peaks, losing alleles.
And if it does not fall within that range?
If it's more than that, we
What
are
is?
going to get over amplification. Pull-up off-scale peaks we will have to dilute. If it's under that, we are going to start losing alleles. We might get partial profiles, we might get failed amplification. So that already is your optimum. That is your optimum.
So, put it say it differently, that this SOP is there to ensure that we have reliable results, respectively.
Yes, yes. And as I say, our whole StarLab system, all the algorithms is geared
And
to
then,
work accordingly.
so if in the system a valid result would not be presented if it was below that. It would have to be, for purposes of your lab to be valid, it would have to be between those two ranges.
Yes, because why I say this, I won't necessarily report on a sample.
If it can still be PCR, don't understand me wrong, because DNA is extremely sensitive. PCR can work on very small amounts of template. Our cutoff for template is 0.005 nanogram per microliters. When our concentration is that, it's obviously not the optimal. We will load a maximum of 20 microliters of DNA, and then we might get a result, but most of the time we will not get a result. And then the result would be, for example, like I've said to the board, failed amplification or partial profiles, but I won't use it. In this instance, in this case, my lord, I have not written one partial profile. There were enough full profiles and accept mixture results to use. And we didn't actually get partial profiles because we have sufficient DNA straight through.
Right, the amount then was sufficient, and it was then, I gather, above 1
Yes,
nanogram.
yes, we did not struggle to get sufficient DNA. So,
And it would have been above 1 nanogram,
yes, yes,
or in this range.
or in that range. I think many samples even had to be diluted because there was so much DNA.
Right, I'm going to refer to the next document that we're going to hand up. Which is a handout that will again contains a summary and then some examples.
I have no objection.
Now, this is a document that is created by our DNA expert. And what it does is, in the beginning, if I can take you through it, it tells you where she states, it appears from the documents, that samples were less than 1 nanogram of DNA were used in the PCR. In the first paragraph, it's just a summary of what the SOPs state in that regard. That's SOP 1, the 7.4 that which you refer to, which you confirm. And then below that, in paragraph B, there is it refers to the Profiler Plus application kit, user manual, and that's also attached. And just after the summary after page 4 of 4. It's called Emphasis Profile plus PCR Application Kit User Manual. Then, if you look at page 1 of 9, it tells you what the recommended range is at the 4th paragraph, 5th paragraph, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th paragraph, the recommended range of 5th line. The recommended range of input sample DNA is 1 to 2.5 nanograms, which you've confirmed. Yes. Then at the page 9 of 33, effect of DNA quantity on results. The first paragraph, the amount of input DNA added to PCR reaction should be between 1 and 2.5 nanograms. And then there's just after that, at page, the next page, just a, so that was not important. Yes, then we get to the examples, which I will deal with just now, but just for your information, you can have a look at this. At paragraph 2, if you're back to the first page of this exhibit, this is all the instances that have been listed where 39 samples were less than 1 nanogram of DNA was used in the PCR. And the first one, I'm not going to read them all out, but I will take you to some of them. Reference marking from the DAR page 229, that's in your bundle, or your case file, a PCR batch list, and then you have the amount of DNA at 0.2986 nanogram.
My Lord, just this point, on page 1, what is this exhibit called again? Triple A? Slide 7.
You want to consider this document?
No. I want to just ask the expert. On paragraph B, page in the middle of that first page, page 9 to 33, results and interpretation. The final DNA concentration should be in the range of 0.05 to 0.125 nanogram per microliter. So that 1 to 2.5 nanogram of DNA will be added to the PCR reaction in a volume of 20 microliters.
Yes.
Has that been taken into account?
Yes.
Now I tell you, my Lord, like I've said to you before, I've explained it to you. I've said that's the optimum, 1 to 2.5. Our cut-off point is 0.005,
Which tells us that anything between 0.05 nanogram per microliter can actually be put into a PCR, because that's the way PCR works. PCR only needs a little bit of DNA. And my Lord, in all of these instances, we obtain good results. Nowhere did I struggle to get a peak below 50. All the peaks were easily above 50. So my Lord, yes, it's the optimum. The instructor's manual say that, but we still have a cut-off value. So what the court is telling me, if I have sorry, my Lord, not you. If I have a quant-due result of 0.125 nanogram per microliter, I must now ignore this song, because it's not enough DNA. I can't do that because that's not optimal. And
I accept that in the real world, what happened in this instance, the test we had to conduct, the real quantities we got.
Yes, my Lord.
And it wasn't the optimum situation, it was sufficient.
That was more than sufficient. More than sufficient, my
That's how
Lord.
I understand it.
Yes, we did not struggle at all to get good quality DNA.
What I understood the testimony to be is that you would not use it if it's less than 1.
No,
Is there such a rule that it's...
No,
So 3 times.
No, I said on record our cutoff value is 0.005 nanogram per microliter.
Don't you tell it?
That's so if it's below 0.005 nanogram per microliter, we won't use it.
Let me tell you that you said it 3 times. That the cutoff is 1 nanogram of amount of DNA in single.
My Lord, as I said, then I'm sorry if because that is not, I clearly stated that our cut-off value is 0.005.
Alright, then wait, if you look at the next page, page 3 or 4. Yes, page 3 or 4. Second page, the next page 3 or 4. Point Z. Z. That's 0.04 now.
Yes.
That's less than you know.
It's far more than 0.005. Our cutoff value for PCR after Quandu is 0.005 nanogram per microliter. And 0.04 is a lot more than that. It's nearly 10 times more.
I'm going to illustrate to you a bit later the calculation.
Mathematics is getting complicated.
It is.
My lord,
No, I
We
understand what you're saying.
can talk about quantities until we get blue in the face.
the results I obtained were of brilliant, excellent quality. There might be other factors in any sample affecting the quantifier or the Quandu result, but that does not change the validity of the results. And the results are valid and they are 100% reliable. Whether 0.5 nanogram had been added, whether 5 nanograms had been added.
So, the DNA, as you said, was not degraded.
No.
Your SOP states that you must use those amounts unless the DNA was degraded.
My lord, once again, like I said earlier, we have been there, we have done that, and I've also told the court that I'm not the PCR analyst in the case. The PCR analyst will receive a batch list. Those values would already been calculated.
This is the ideal, this is the norm, but in the forensic world, we do not live in a real world. We live, unfortunately, in a forensic world.
And most of our samples that we deal with might not be perfect samples. And as I've said to the court, yes, that's the ideal, but our cut-off value is 0.005 nanogram per microliter. When it's below that, we will not support it.
I'm going to put to you that this, I hate using those words, but that the reason why this SOP states the following, it says 1 and 2, between 1 and 2.5 nanograms, unless the sample is, and qualifies it even further, highly degraded. We know this is not a highly degraded sample, we've confirmed that all over consistently. That is what you're supposed to do. That lab has got SOPs that needs to be followed, and ISO guides that needs to be followed, because that's the international standard.
So
Are you telling me an international lab?
I understand what it is. If it's below this amount of how to suggest, then the DNA should be more acceptable.
Yes.
Not bad.
Well, she said it.
Right.
She said it initially. Initially, that is exactly what she said.
No, that's the optimal, my lord. As I say, the kit insert, the instruction manual, but I have said it multiple times to the court that we deal with forensic samples.
But let me just understand it correctly. I just understand that because the amounts were less, they should be ignored for the
No, the lab. Let me rephrase that. She's painstakingly informed us earlier of how important the SOPs are. The SOPs say this. This is why I got the answer wrong. I'm going to argue that again and again, but that's why I got the answer wrong in respect to those other functionalities. Because of the SOPs, they are so important and I have to follow them. I refer to an SOP which is not, it's not equivocal, it's not equivocal, it's unequivocal. It tells us, and she confirms that thing, that those are the range of amounts. And if there's a caveat in this very SOP, unless it's highly degraded. She tells us it's not highly degraded. And in fact, it's not degraded. So, in that context, is a scientific lab that creates its own sets of rules that needs to be followed. Yes, if it's not in that range, it should be. Unfortunately, that's not the end of it. What I'll tell you then is if you look at the summary, we can do that exercise again because obviously at the principal level, we at odds. You'll have to look at all these.
What's your answer to that?
My Lord, I don't agree. Because like I've said, this is the optimal. This is obviously the prerequisites set in the kit insert and the user manual. But because we do validations and because we deal with forensic samples, we don't deal with clean blood and clean semen. We deal with forensic samples. We have found that our cut-off value is 0.005 nanogram per microliter after quantification. So any sample with more DNA after quantification will be PCR'd according to the volumes as calculated by our StarLab system. We unfortunately cannot ignore samples if it's below this value, because where will we end? We won't have a lot of work. Because we deal with forensics.
That is absolutely not an answer.
No?
Absolutely.
Not an answer.
No. Because if we look at this amount of samples indicated here, calculated, I mean it's a lot. So if you remove them and we tell the court that, oh no, we can't use this result because our input DNA was too low, then that's not scientific. At a DNA level, we will make use of a proper amplification kit or amplification system like PCR, which can deal with very little amounts of DNA. We have to make use of it. And if we get a valid result, and that valid result complies to all our quality guidelines and standards, then we will interpret it.
Right. I'm not going to argue with that with you again. Make my point. What I just will tell you is that the fact that you want a result and that you wouldn't have work or you couldn't get a result under other circumstances than not following the SOP, that's not good enough. Then you don't have an answer.
My Lord, I am being accused of being subjective.
Absolutely.
And I'm not, because once again I'm the end user. I am not there when the isolation is done. I'm not there when the quantification is done. I am there. I print a status report according to our quality controller at the level of GeneMapper IDX. Stargazer will give me a comment and tell me that, listen, this is a usable result. I will use the result. I will not go and question if I get a duplicated result or not. If it's a usable according to our interpretational guidelines, I will use it. That's not being subjective.
Before we adjourn, to clarify one aspect. Why is there a cut of concentration?
Because if you go my PCR, my Lord, actually doesn't like a lot of DNA. It prefers having lesser DNA. But if you go with too little DNA, you start losing alleles. You start have alleles, DNA. You start getting allelic drop out of things like that. So it's dangerous to work with too little amounts of DNA. But it's also dangerous to work with too much DNA. So this is why they had set a standard, but it doesn't mean that if you submit less than that concentration, you're not going to get a result, or that it's going to be invalid.
That is just where we differ. But before we waste too much time, let's just, I want you to do an exercise for us, because we're reaching the end of the quarter. If you just look at those, you'll see we've set out there the samples into which they relate, the exhibit number in each case. For instance, if you look at the SOX 119 stain 3, and we give you the page number, where you can find that, and then you can see the see, unless we've made type errors, the amount of DNA used in each case. So So if you can just have a look at those. I'm not expecting you at this moment, obviously, to go through them now, but have a look at them. And then you can just confirm tomorrow whether you're in agreement with our setting out of the information as we've summarized it there. And you'll see the ones at the back, if I can go on from page 229 at the bottom, it's marked. Those are just ones that we've attached as examples of where these amounts come from. So you can also look at those, because those are the representative ones that we've attached.
My Lord, I will go back and look at my status reports as well.
Yes, I think so, my Lord. It's
Rise in thought.